everyone and welcome to the Formula E Pit Lane Preview Show. My name is Darren Adjatossier.
And I'm Saunders CB.
And we are coming to you from a very hot Jakarta for rounds 10 and 11 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship.
Yeah, hot is the optimum word there.
Yeah.
It's warm and sticky, but we expected no different because, of course, this is not our first visit to Jakarta. We came here last year. The race was incredible last year, but this year we come off the back of that Monaco race that we just had a few weeks ago, which was epic.
So good.
So yeah, I think the heat in more ways than one is very much going to be here this weekend for sure.
100%. And how lucky are we that we get to race here twice this year round? And as you say, the heat wasn't just on the track with the cars, it was also the passion of the fans here in Jakarta. We have such an amazing reception here, don't we, Saunders?
For sure. I mean, last year it was tens of thousands in the grandstands here on site and tens of millions watching back home on various methods, which was amazing to see, and I don't see why. Well, I've already got the vibe that it's going to be the same this season, and we've got two races to give them, like you said.
Yeah, oh yeah. Well, let's take a look at what we've got coming up in today's show.
Yes, so we are going to be talking to the apt Cupra drivers of NICO MÜLLER and FRIJNS.
We put your fan questions to Avalanche Andretti's Jake Dennis, and Saunders caught up with our race winner from Monaco, Nick CASSIDY.
Also, surely we've got a Darren City tour.
Oh yeah,
it's Jakarta, right?
Had to be done. But first up, let's take a look at what went down with all the action here in Jakarta last year.
Season 8 marked our first visit to Jakarta, where we saw heat rising both on and off the track as Indonesia welcomed FIA-sanctioned motorsport back into the country for the first time since 2006. Temperatures soared above 30 degrees Celsius with a humidity far greater than most were familiar with. But despite the challenges, our drivers found new means to keep themselves cool and ensure the racing action did not disappoint, entertaining thousands of fans as they flocked to see their favourite drivers race around the Ancol beach area, as well as the 13.4 million viewers at home who tuned in live. Jean-Eric Vergne took the 15th pole position of his Formula E career, a record at the time, and started on the front row alongside his DS Techeetah teammate Antonio Felix da Costa. But it was Mitch Evans that took the checkered flag after an intense final lap battle.
Vergne's in big energy trouble here. He's got 1%. Evans and Mortara have 2%. Vergne is going to struggle to finish second here, surely. They're coming down into the left-hander of 7. They're both, Evans and Vergne, covering the inside defensively. Can Mortara find a way through? There's only really 2 more overtaking opportunities, and the first one is coming up into turn 13.
Through 12, this is the run up to 13 now. No, he lifts really early, Mitch Evans. Vergne defending like crazy. So Evans put the energy back into the battery, back up to 1%.
It's a long run to the line as well, so they may have to lift off here, Jean-Eric Vergne, earlier than Mortara. Mortara tries to get through. Vergne's out of shape. Evans is surely going to hold on. I think Vergne is going to run out of energy here. He covers the inside again. It's going to be right together for second place, but Mitch Evans in the Jaguar has driven a superb race, and Mitch Evans wins in Jakarta.
Less than a second separated the top 3 drivers, and come the end of the race weekend, Jean-Eric Vergne had narrowed the gap to championship leader Stoffel van Dorn to just 5 points. What will our next one bring with it? Find out in Jakarta for rounds 10 and 11 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship.
How lucky are we that we get to experience all that action this weekend twice?
For sure. Now, let me tell you, one driver, Avalanche Andretti's Jake Dennis, will be looking to put in a good performance this weekend in front of the fans here in Jakarta. A good kind of resurgence to form over the past few races. Can he do it again? One question I would ask him, but what questions did you ask him? Here's what he had to say.
Favourite circuit? Obviously the London E-Prix, not only because we've obviously had super success there, but also just the indoor-outdoor section really creates a different kind of racing, and you know, you can really hear the fans cheering for you inside as well. So yeah, London E-Prix. For me, for future racing, I would love to race in Australia. Somewhere in Sydney and Melbourne would be a real goal of mine. I've really enjoyed the cities there. I've visited them both twice. So yeah, somewhere in Australia, preferably Sydney or Melbourne. Favourite part of being a Formula E driver has to be the podiums. I think Formula E do a really good job with different podiums for different racing, different styles. You know, you've got a really big difference between somewhere like Monaco to then somewhere like London. I think there's a real big, vast difference between the tracks, so always makes it a bit different and not repetitive. Most memorable win, probably Valencia, 2021 with BMW. You know, first win in Formula E. Really difficult race. No one thought you could lead it from start to end, and we managed to do just that. And yeah, just to experience that feeling in the car and then obviously with the team was something I'll never forget. So, first Formula E win for sure. I'm hoping my team has like at least a paddling pool with some ice in it. That's really going to be the best way to cool down after the race because it's super hot here, really challenging. And yeah, if there's anything to go by last year, it's one of the most demanding and physical races on the calendar for sure. I would probably choose someone who's quite smart, logical. So I wouldn't choose anyone. No one here. I would say Andre. Not only because he's my teammate, but he's just a really good guy and we probably make a laugh out of the bad situation we're in. But yeah, we'd probably be stuck in there forever. But yeah, I'll go Andre. I'd say 100 Smurf size on the rescues because that would just be funny, wouldn't it? Let's be honest. And you can never have too many Olivers. So yeah, I'd go that option. I don't know what you'd say about that. Yes, it's a real issue for me. In Germany, it's an absolute disaster. Obviously, Dennis is very much a first name over there, and whenever I say my second name, they always think it's my first, so filling out forms is a bit of a disaster. So Germany's the worst, but it's generally not great, no matter where I go, to be honest.
Thank you very much for those questions, as always, to Jake Dennis. Make sure you stay tuned to the Formula E social media channels to find out who the next driver for the Q&A is going to be in Portland and where you can ask your questions.
And thanks to all of you guys for sending them in because that was amazing. Now, Saunders, I want to just take a brief moment to reflect on what happened in Monaco. Yeah. Hands down, one of the most epic races in Formula E. I mean, 116 overtakes. What did you make of it all?
I mean, we are always treated to good racing in Monaco, and this year really was no different. You know, like you said there, 116 overtakes, and not to mention so many of those for the actual lead. We're talking 6, 7 overtakes for the lead on track, something that other championships like Formula 1, for example, haven't done since 1996. So that really shows you where Formula E are, you know, in terms of racing on the streets of Monaco. It feels like it's born for it. And just the last thing I'll say is it's really shaken up the championship. We've got a new leader in Nick Cassidy after that win from as far back as P9. Jake Dennis has done well to get himself back up there properly in the title fight. And now it's just made this weekend even more exciting because the points have just kind of got a little bit closer together for quite a lot of the grid. So yeah, it's exciting.
Very exciting. And of course, it was Nick Cassidy who won out in Monaco, and Saunders had a little chat with him.
We're here, Indonesia, Jakarta, second time for the championship, second time for you, double header incoming.
Yes.
Excited?
Yeah, I think so.
You think so?
No, I'm excited. I'm just really enjoying my racing right now, so it's cool to be at the track. Yeah.
Let's talk about the race we've just come from, a few weeks back, Monaco. Winning in Monaco is every driver's dream. You got to live that. How was it?
Just surreal, to be honest. I mean, really, really cool day. I think, obviously for myself, but I'm one of many, right? The whole team got to enjoy something pretty special. It was the first time that we've won there as a team, so just very, very cool.
So understated, so understated. Winning in Monaco.
No, like don't get me wrong, like insane. But it's one of those moments that at the time you can't really believe it's happened. Now you talk about it so much that you believe it, but you're just like, wow, that was pretty cool.
And then I imagine quite quickly it's then focused on the next race, right?
Yeah, I would say Berlin was more of a fast turnover. Monaco, we really enjoyed the moment, which was nice. But yeah, now we're here and we're all looking forward to Saturday's race.
Well, before we talk more about Jakarta specifically, I want to kind of look back at the season.
Yeah.
Because my nickname for you this season is the Silent Assassin.
We had quite a few podiums in a row at one stage. I think there was 3. So that almost felt like more pressure than now. It was like, let's keep the streak going. You know, back then And it was just trying to just keep yourself grounded and realize that, hey, if it's a P6, if it's a P10, that's what it is, that's okay. And let's bag that. But we've had good performance, so it's allowed us to grab more than that on those days, but I'm not expecting that every day. I think coming to this weekend, we're due a bad race. Maybe it might happen, maybe it might not, but it'll be what it'll be.
So just to kind of compare or connect the season so far with the doubleheader we've got this weekend,
Yeah.
it feels like you as a driver, but also the team and the car have given everything that you would need to do well in a race like this. Good efficiency, good on energy, being able to climb, being able to lead.
Yeah, I some ways agree. I think it relates a little bit to Sunday's race, but I don't think that the efficiency thing or say the style of racing will be the same this weekend. I mean, don't quote me, but I'm worried that Saturday's race will be boring. I'm worried that there'll be no overtaking.
Right.
So that can be quite interesting. I don't think we've really seen that since Mexico, a little bit Riyadh-ish. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting weekend.
So just lastly, talk to me about this circuit, this weekend of racing we have. What can we be looking out for? Where might things differ to the races we've had over the last few months?
I think just performance-wise, most manufacturer teams have been testing. So maybe some people have some upgrades, some people have improvements on the cars. You might see a little bit of a change in order. But then apart from that, I think everyone in the race is still going to be close. You're not really going to see, in my opinion, anyone breaking away. But passing could be reduced. So yeah.
Interesting.
Let's see.
Interesting. Well,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Nick. Good to get your insight as always.
Thanks,
Best
man.
of luck for the weekend. I know it's going to be mega.
Thanks very much. Cheers.
Lovely to hear from Nick Cassidy there.
Yeah, for sure. This weekend is very interesting for him. He's had a run of good performances. Like we've seen multiple podiums, multiple wins now. Pretty much as far back as India is being consistently good running. But he's sort of been going about it in the background, the silent assassin, just making good positions, making good points, getting on the podium, getting wins. But now everything's different because he's at the top of the standings. So all eyes are on that man. Yeah, as his eyes are on us right now, but the world's eyes are on him this weekend for Formula E because, yeah, he's now got the target on his back. This weekend's going to be crucial because there's two things. One's a fun fact.
Oh,
Do you want the fun fact first?
Yeah, I've been waiting for it all show.
Nick Cassidy currently sits at the top of the standings on 121 points.
Yeah.
Exactly almost to the day a season ago, Stoffel Van Dorn was at the top of the championship, also after here, with 121 points.
Ooh.
As we know, Van Dorn went on to win the championship. What works in Nick's advantage is he has an even bigger points buffer than Stoffel did at this time last season.
Oh, wow, that's a great fact, Saunders.
So this weekend's super interesting, right? If he can do it now, all eyes are on him. If he can maintain the consistency, avoid the pressure getting to him, we could be looking at the future champion right here.
Oh my God. And I mean, I know it's a bit early on in the show, but I have to ask you, what's your predictions? Do you think that is actually going to happen?
I'm going to need to think about that a bit more because there's a lot of elements about this race, these races. What I want to know first is more about the city because we're here in Jakarta, we're incredibly privileged to be in Indonesia. I imagine you had a chance to look around.
Of course, Saunders,
How
you know
was
me
it?
very well. It was amazing. I mean, I actually learned a fun fact. I've got a fun fact
go
now. Indonesia is an archipelago, which means a series of islands. We got to explore all of that and have put together a city guide for you, sponsored by Saudia. We are back in the Indonesian capital of Jakarta, a place renowned for its rich cultural history, as well as being the most popular city in all of Southeast Asia. So you can guarantee there's lots for you to see and discover if you're joining us for the races this weekend. This is Jakarta Discovered, brought to you by Saudia. And what better place to start than Taman Mini? This family-friendly park features 33 replicas of traditional houses from across the country, showcasing the amazing people and cultures that make up Indonesia. There's everything from museums and art galleries to traditional dance and wildlife exhibits, giving you a fantastic taste of what this unique country has to offer. Indonesia itself is an archipelago made up of more than 17,000 islands, and this is Taman Mini, a park designed to celebrate the diversity of this beautiful country. This square has a distinctly European feel, and that's because we're now in Kota Tua, which is the old town of Jakarta and was once the beating heart of the Dutch colony, with buildings dating back to the 16th century. Right, here we go. So if you want to get a feel of Jakarta's past with museums that chart the history of Indonesia, then this is the place to come. In Menteng, one of the oldest neighbourhoods in Jakarta, you can find the Jalan Surabaya flea market. This famous market is home to stalls selling just about everything under the sun. From antiques to traditional puppets to vinyl records, it's a great place to pick up some bargains, some souvenirs, or maybe even just practice your haggling skills. And finally, the heart of Jakarta is right here in Merdeka Square, home of Indonesia's national monument, which was built to celebrate the country's independence. This square is also one of Jakarta's biggest screen spaces, which you know I absolutely love, and is an amazing spot for you to come and play sports, relax and unwind before all the action this race weekend. So as you can see, there is plenty for you to see and discover if you're joining us in Jakarta for the weekend. But if you're tuning in from home, then head over to the Formula E website to find out where you can watch all the action.
That Mini Indonesia looks so good. I've definitely got to get there before I leave.
Oh my God, add it to your list right now. If you're coming to Indonesia, definitely check it out. I mean, just incredible to see all of the different cultures there.
Excellent travel tips for anybody visiting. Love to hear it. Now that's for tourists. Here's a little link. Two tourists, or two people that would not want to be called tourists this weekend, racing-wise, are the Abt Cooper drivers of FRIJNS and NICO MÜLLER. It's safe to say that despite that qualifying running in the wet in Berlin, they've had a pretty challenging season.
Yeah. And I can't quite imagine it will be raining here.
Well, you say that, but in Asia, in this part of the world, it can rain from nowhere, and when it rains, it absolutely pours. There's always kind of an odd chance that that might happen, and that would definitely play into the hands of Abt Cooper for sure, as we learned in Berlin. We could talk about this till the cows come home. Here's what they had to say about their season so far.
So, it's your first time in Jakarta.
It is.
How do you like it so far?
It's too hot for Swiss cheese. No, it's bloody hot and humid. Sweating a lot, but...
You never been to Bali either?
No, actually no. I've never been to this part of the world, so it's a first on many fronts.
I've been to Bali before.
Can I see you laying there on the beach?
Yeah, I'm used to it. It's the same weather as I'm growing up with.
Exactly, professional beach layer.
Exactly.
Well, you've obviously been here last year and raced here already once. How was that? How did you deal with the heat?
It was one of my worst races for the season, which
Lovely.
was great. I had a crash in qualifying. I started last. Didn't have the pace to move forward. Halfway the race, I was too hot because it was 47 degrees. Had a discussion with my engineer on the radio halfway the race as well, asking for information. I was like, I'm P17 man, race is done. So it was great.
Lots of things to do better this year then.
Exactly, but I remember I jumped out and I stood in front of the air conditioning for 10 minutes to cool down. So you will love it.
And obviously Berlin in the wet was pretty good. Do we have a chance for some tropical rain here in this place? Or what do you think?
I remember last year it rained, I think on Thursday evening or Friday afternoon or something like that, and it was dry within an hour because of the heat.
Yeah.
So yeah, even though if it rains, it's going to be dried out pretty quickly. But definitely Sunday there's a chance of rain, so I would definitely not mind if the rain hits just before the race.
Including a nice cool down, so lots
Actually,
of positive there.
What do you prefer, qualifying wet or race wet?
It's a very good question. For a change, it would be cool to race on the wet ones, I think. I think that would do for some proper action.
If you only have and race wet, which means we start in the back, because qualifying is dry, which then you have spray and then you don't see anything.
It will be difficult, that's for sure, but yeah, in the end we've seen that these races are tough when even starting at the front you need efficiency to kind of stay there.
Yeah,
so,
true. But in the wet it's a bit different. So far I only scored points in qualifying this year, which is weird. We are halfway, yeah, right? We are
more already,
yeah, a bit or less, more or less. We are halfway throughout the season. There are some nice races. I mean, for me, Rome is always one I'm looking forward to.
I agree.
So which one are you looking forward to?
Rome I've raced on before. I think that track will be super exciting in these new cars.
Yeah.
I think the adrenaline will be pumping there, so looking forward to that one. I've never raced in London, so I think that's a cool event as well that I'm definitely looking forward to.
You need to train for that though.
Okay, here we go, here we go.
So we have Portland, we have Rome, we have London.
That's it. Yeah.
That's it, no? 3 weekends.
Yeah.
Portland is obviously a new one for everyone. I've never been in Portland myself, so
Same.
I always like new races, new venues to look forward to. I don't really know what to expect, but yeah, Rome is definitely one I'm looking forward to, yeah.
Let's see what we can do then here in this lovely hot and humid place. And
45 degrees in the race, can't wait.
get your sweat on. And
So I'll see you on the podium then.
who knows, would be good, no? Thanks, man.
See you, man.
Ciao, ciao.
Thanks very much to Nico and Robin for taking the time out for that. Now, Saunders, you tried to avoid it earlier on in the show. We have now made it to that point. I'm going to ask you, what are your predictions for this weekend?
I have actually got a podium for you.
Ooh, okay, here we go.
It's a loose podium prediction. Let me talk you through it.
Okay.
I don't know the order of it just yet, but I
Right.
feel like these are probably the 3 strongest contenders. Off the back of not just the win here last year, but his confidence, having spoken to him this morning, and the run of form that he's on, Mitch Evans.
I knew you were going to say it, yep.
Basically, all of the challenges of this circuit come down to energy being difficult, the car needing to be above and beyond others on the grid. It's exactly what the Jaguar has been for much of the season. I think the win, he knows how to win here from last year. It was a real battle for the win as well, so he knows how to maintain energy well here.
Yeah.
But the other person I'm going to say, one of 2 others, is Jean-Eric Vergne. Now that might sound a bit rogue, but you have to remember his performance here last year. He basically had no energy in the last few laps, and he almost held off Mitch Evans for the win. And he did hold off Edoardo Mortara to keep 2nd place. Also, in Monaco, behind the scenes, he was making up positions like it was fun.
Yeah.
It was in Monaco.
Yeah.
So he's on good form for making up positions. The energy management situation and the efficiency situation at DS Penske seems to have improved. So I think that could help. And finally, how could I not say Nick Cassidy?
We're back in front of his
How
garage
could
again.
I not say Nick Cassidy? After the running he's had pretty much since India to now,
Yeah.
it's very hard not to think that he's just going to do it again. And the other benefit being, he drives the same car as Mitch Evans, the Jaguar, which is efficient, good on energy, good on hot temperatures, kind of a lot of the things you need for this circuit. But having said that, there's always a second point.
Yeah.
Having said that, we are at a point where things are a lot tighter. You know, look between 6th and 8th. You've got to do a lot of work this weekend to keep yourself in that title fight because things are tight above, and Nick Cassidy's got a decent buffer. But so if you're Pascal Wehrlein,
Yeah.
you need to have a good weekend because suddenly you might find yourself starting the weekend in 2nd and finishing in 5th in the standings. So people like that are going to have to do good work. Sam Bird the same, Sebastian Buemi the same. But yeah, I'm going to stick with, that's my podium, but there are, let's say, extenuating factors which might change things just purely from the necessity and hunger for points.
That was brilliant, Saunders. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much for that. We want to know in the comments down below, what do you think of Saunders' predictions? Who's going to be 1st, 2nd and 3rd? There is, of course, only one way to find out, by joining us for rounds 10 and 11 of the ABB FIA Formula E World Championship this weekend. See you there.